John 1:36. Et respiciens Iesum ambulantem dicit ecce agnus Dei. And looking at or on Jesus, walking or approaching, he, that is John the Baptist, says, "Behold," or "Look, the Lamb of God." Here the evangelist is continuing to tell us about another interaction of John the Baptist and his disciples with Jesus. And here the context is a couple of John the Baptist's disciples overhearing and then deciding to take some action, as we'll see in the next verses, on what they hear John the Baptist, their master, saying. The main thing I want to point out to you in these verses is an excuse to do a bit of a review of participles here. We have two present active participles, respiciens and ambulantem. We'll take ambulantem as our primary example just to review the declension of participles and a little bit about their use. First, let's look at the principal parts. Ambulo, first person singular, present active indicative. Ambulare, present active infinitive. Ambulavi, first person singular, perfect active indicative. And ambulatum, the supine. You'll also see in some books ambulatus instead, the perfect passive participle instead of the supine, not just for this verb, but for any verb. It's a distinction that doesn't really matter. It's just a grammatical convention in terms of how Latin is taught in different places by different people. I myself will probably be a little bit inconsistent on the fourth principal part, whether I say ambulatum or ambulatus. I go back and forth because I've consulted books which adopt both practices. So looking now at the morphology, the main thing you want to notice is that these are declined like I stems of the third declension. That is, I stem nouns of the third declension. Okay, and I especially want to point out to you this ending, which is usual in eum in the genitive plural. Occasionally in poetry, you'll see instead, but eum is the usual ending. We also need to make a note on or e for the ablative singular here. Is used when the participle is functioning as a participle in its normal way, and when it's functioning as a substantive, that is when it's standing in for a noun all on its own. But when it's used adjectivally, you'll often see e instead of for the ablative singular. Another thing we want to be sure to mention about these present active participles is that their time, that is the time that they indicate, is contemporaneous by virtue of the fact that they're present participles with the main verb of the sentence, which in this case is dicit. Now we know that dicit is third person singular, present active infinitive, which means that the action indicated by ambulantem and by respiciens is contemporaneous with that of dicit. That is, John the Baptist's speaking, Jesus is approaching, and John the Baptist's noticing are all happening at more or less the same time.